guys, welcome. My name is Arya and this is our fifth vlog. Today we're gonna be talking about chapters 13, 14, and 15 of Murder on the Orient Express, or as you know in the book, they are chapters 5, 6, and 7 of part 2 of the book. So let's get right into it and we'll start with chapter 13 or chapter 5 of part 2. Okay, so this chapter is quite short, but it's an interview to Greta Holson, and basically what we know is that Greta was the last person to see Ratchet alive. Now, how does it happen? Well, quite simple. She was gonna have a chat with Mrs. Hubbard, and in her process to going to her compartment, she by accident opened Ratchet's compartment, and she just saw him that he was reading on his bed, quite normal, and then she proceeded to close the door and to go chat with Mrs. Hubbard. Before leaving Mrs. Hubbard requested for Greta to check if the door to the compartment of Ratchet was indeed bolted. She proceeded to confirm this, and then she left the compartment at about almost 11 o'clock, and then she proceeded to go to her compartment to get some sleep. It's important to know that she shares the compartment with Mary Debenham, and she says that she never saw Mary leave her compartment in all the night. She doesn't own a red kimono. And another fact that we know and are certain of is that she doesn't know anything about the Armstrong case. However, when she was told about it, she was quite upset, but she doesn't show any connection, no relationship, nor even knowledge about it. That's a wrap for chapter 13 or chapter 5 of part 2. It's a quite short chapter. However, now we will proceed with chapter 6 of part 2 or chapter 14. So here how it all goes down. Okay, so here in chapter 6, what happens is that we have the Pierre Michel called in, and he's gonna be questioned about the button in his jacket. So he's called in and he says that no button is missing from his jacket. He even demonstrates it, and well, he's quite indignated that he's called suspect based upon this. So he calls some colleagues to corroborate in his alibi and to show that he indeed was doing what he previously said. And according to all his colleagues, his alibi is correct, and we don't know of which jacket the missing button is. Once Pierre Michel is relieved, they call Princess Dragomirov for her first questioning, in which she recalls that that night she had dinner and immediately went to her room, read a little, and then she called her maid, which just messaged her and read her a little until she fell asleep at about 12:45 p.m. She doesn't recall hearing something weird or some noise that didn't seem when she's told about Cassidy and the Armstrong case, she reveals that she's quite close with the Armstrong family, as the daughter Sonia was her goddaughter. So this is quite a revelation. Now, lastly, to end this chapter, what the princess reveals is that there is a younger Armstrong daughter, however, that she has lost contact with her. And for the final scene of the chapter, we have the princess asking the detective for his name, and when she finds out, she says, "Yes, now I remember, this is destiny," and that's the last words we'll have in this chapter. And now that's a wrap for chapter 6 of part 2 or chapter 14. And lastly, for chapter 7, here's what happens, or chapter 15 in case you don't want to miss out the count. Now here's what happens. Once Princess Dragomirov is relieved on the interview, the Count Andreni and the Countess are called in for the interview. However, only the Count presents for the interview, and he just says that he's no use for this case, as he and his wife slept all night long and didn't hear nothing unusual. And well, what we know is that when the detective reveals the real identity of Ratchet, he doesn't seem surprised, he doesn't seem to care, he just really doesn't show any relevance to the news that he had just been exposed. Being the case, the Count gives the alibi, and he says that After dinner, they went straight up to the room, to compartment number 13, in which they just played piquet until 11, and they both went to bed. However, Hercules quite hesitant that she did saw the Countess at night, but they proceed on to check on the passports, and well, the Countess' name is Elena. However, there's this spot of grease covering up the name. The name of the Countess is Elena Maria Goldenberg, and she's eventually called in for the questioning, and she does state that she has never been to America with the Count, and that they don't have any connection nor know any members of the Armstrong family. And now she does correspond the alibi that her husband smokes cigars and cigarettes, and that her robe is colored chiffon. Okay guys, and now that's a wrap for chapters 5, 6, and 7 of part 2, or chapters 13, 14, and 15. Now, how do I feel of these chapters? Well, I really like them personally. I think even though they are a little slow and they don't have as much actions as other parts of the book, they are quite interesting because in each chapter we get essential details that allow us to get our clues together and to start changing our theory or to having a clearer hypothesis of who the real murderer is. Now, personally, I feel like the case is taking quite a twist because we're seeing that more and more characters keep knowing the Armstrong case or the Armstrong family, or even if they don't know the family, they keep getting quite upset because of the fact that Cassetti was set free when he was murdered and he was guilty. And what's quite interesting is that it's people that supposedly don't know any of the Armstrong members, yet they get quite, we could say, personal when they hear the news. And it's like, well, you don't know this guy. I mean, you can get pissed about it, but the response of the characters, at least the way that I understood it, was more intense than it should be. However, then it's interesting seeing the part of the Count and the Countess. We didn't hear much of them before. They are characters that are quite silent, that are quite discreet. However, in here we find something quite interesting, and it's the spot on Elena's passport, because it's casually landed just on the M. So I think that that's quite a detail that we should keep track onto, and that's an important clue to keep a track onto. By this point, I hope that you're also keeping track or a list of your clues, because at this point there are so many clues in the book, there are so many theories, there are so many hypotheses that I would recommend to keep tracking or at least take some notes if you want to try to solve the murder on your own, so it's easier to make connections and a little more interesting to read in the book. And so stay tuned for the next blog, which will be blog 6, and it'll be about chapters 16, 17, and 18. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next week.